poor single dad saw a baby abandoned on the road on Christmas Eve. What he did next it was Christmas Eve. The temperature had dropped to near freezing, and snow was beginning to dust the empty back roads of rural Tennessee. Marcus Webb was driving home in his beat-up Ford pickup, barely enough gas in the tank to make it back, barely enough money in his wallet to buy his 7-year-old daughter a Christmas gift in the morning. He was tired, he was struggling. And then his headlights landed on something in the road that made his heart stop cold. There was a car seat, sitting right there on the shoulder of the road, and bundled inside it, wrapped in a thin pink blanket, was a baby. Subscribe invite before we go any further. If stories like this move your heart, please subscribe to Heartfelt Moments, hit that like button, and drop a comment below, telling us about a time someone's kindness changed your life. Your stories matter, and this community is built on them. Now, let's get back to Marcus. Main story. Marcus almost didn't stop. He almost told himself someone else would come along. He was a single dad raising his daughter Lily on his own after losing his wife to cancer 2 years before. Every dollar was counted. Every decision was carefully weighed. He had nothing extra to give, not money, not time, not energy. And yet, something deep inside him wouldn't let his foot stay on that gas pedal. He pulled over, he stepped out into the biting cold, his breath making little clouds in the night air. He walked slowly toward the car seat, half hoping he was wrong about what he was seeing. But he wasn't wrong. There she was, a baby girl, no more than a few weeks old, with tiny red cheeks and eyes squeezed shut against the cold. She wasn't crying, she was just lying there, still and quiet, as if she had already given up on being found. Marcus knelt down beside her. His hands were trembling, not from the cold, but from the weight of the moment. He looked up and down the empty road. There was nobody, no cars, no footprints. Just darkness and silence, and this tiny fragile life left alone on Christmas Eve. He picked her up. She was so small in his rough, calloused hands. He pressed her against his chest, and felt her stir slightly, turning her little face toward the warmth of his body. Something cracked open inside Marcus right then, something that had been closed off since he lost his wife. He whispered to her, "I've got you. You're okay. I've got you." He drove straight to the nearest hospital, 20 minutes away, with one hand on the wheel and one hand holding the baby girl pressed gently to his chest. He talked to her the whole way. He told her about Lily. He told her it was Christmas Eve and that she was going to be just fine. He told her she was not alone. When he walked through those emergency room doors, the nurses rushed over immediately. They wrapped the baby in warm blankets and began checking her vitals. A doctor told Marcus that the baby's core temperature had dropped dangerously low. If he had driven past, if he had waited even another 20 or 30 minutes, the story would have ended very differently. Marcus sat in the waiting room for 2 hours. He didn't have to stay. Nobody asked him to, but he couldn't bring himself to leave until he knew she was going to be all right. When a nurse finally came out and told him the baby was stable and healthy, Marcus put his face in his hands and cried, the deep, relieved kind of crying that only comes when something truly terrible has been avoided by the thinnest thread. The hospital staff asked for his name and contact information. They said authorities would need a statement. He gave it without question and drove home in the early hours of Christmas morning, empty-handed, exhausted, and somehow at peace. He didn't tell anyone what happened. Not right away. He just went home, kissed his sleeping daughter on the forehead, and lay down on his couch staring at the ceiling, thinking about how a moment's hesitation could have cost a life. But word got out the way it always does in small towns. Within days, the local news picked up the story. People in the community started showing up at Marcus's door. Not with cameras or fanfare, but with groceries, gift cards, a bag of wrapped Christmas presents for Lily. A local mechanic offered to fix his truck for free. A church group set up a small fund to help cover his bills for the next few months. Marcus was overwhelmed. He kept saying he hadn't done anything special, he'd just done what anyone would do. But that's the thing about kindness. The person giving it rarely understands how rare and powerful it truly is. As for the baby girl, she was placed in the care of social services and, within a few months, was adopted by a loving family in Nashville. The mother had been found, and was getting the help she desperately needed. A quiet tragedy had become, somehow, a story of second chances for everyone involved. Conclusion: Marcus Webb was a man with nothing to spare. No money, no extra time, no safety net of his own. And yet, he stopped. He chose to see. He chose to act. And because of that one decision made on a freezing road on Christmas Eve, a little girl got to live her life. That's the truth about kindness. It doesn't require wealth or status or perfect circumstances. It only requires a willing heart and the courage to pull over when everything in you says to keep driving. So today, wherever you are, look around. Someone near you might be sitting in a cold car seat on the side of the road, not literally, but in the way that matters. A neighbor who's struggling, a coworker who's barely holding on, a stranger who just needs someone to see them. Be the person who stops. Because one act of kindness, just one, can change everything. If this story touched your heart, please share it with someone who needs to hear it today. And don't forget to subscribe to Heartfelt Moments for more stories that remind us all what it means to be human.